When people hear the word war, they often imagine disorder, violence without rules, anger without restraint. But in the southeastern world, war had structure, it had law, it had limits, and it had purpose. This episode is inspired by chapter 3 of my book, Before We Were Black. And today, we're going to talk about Tuckbatachee, a powerful red town that carried the responsibility of defense and balance within the nations of the Southeast.
Tuckbatachee wasn't a place of impulse. It was a place of decision. Originally known as Ispokoki, Tuckbatachee sat along the Tallapoosa River, a strategic corridor connecting towns, nations, and regions. Tuckbatachee was located in the dominion that we call today the Montgomery, Alabama metropolitan area. It spread from Montgomery eastward towards Shorter and Tallahassee, Alabama, going still towards Tuskegee, Alabama, before you reach the Georgia-Alabama border near Phoenix City, Alabama, and Columbus, Georgia. This placement mattered because red towns were not chosen at random. They were positioned where protection was needed, where response had to be swift, and where communication could travel. Tuckbatachee was one of those towns because of its central position in the Southeast. It wasn't always at war, but when war came, its voice carried weight. Declarations didn't happen in secret. They moved through councils. They followed ceremony. They were bound to law. War leaders didn't rule permanently. Their authority existed only for the duration of the responsibility. Once balance was restored, that authority ended. That's discipline. Tuckbatachee worked in relationship with nearby towns, Atasi, Kaladeshi, Tallahassee, forming a regional network that could respond without collapsing into chaos. Even European observers noticed this. They expected savagery. Instead, they found coordination. Hierarchy without tyranny, strength without disorder. But they didn't know how to describe it because this wasn't empire, it was balance.
Our people have often been described as violent, as reactive, as dangerous. But those descriptions ignore something important. War, for our ancestors, was not identity. It was responsibility. It existed to protect life, not to dominate it. Tuckbatachee reminds us that strength does not have to mean chaos. That defense can exist inside law. That power can be temporary, accountable, and restrained. In the next chapter of this story, we'll begin to see how these nations were encountered, misunderstood, and eventually targeted by colonial forces. But for now, remember this: even war in our world answered to balance, and that balance was a part of the law long before anyone called us lawless.